All right, guys. First of all, really sorry for a short delay. We are just, as you can see, we are just waiting for some of our guests to join the panel. But to begin with, it gives me immense pleasure to have Ranjan Rasta, ardent Magpie, a big time Liverpool, big time Newcastle fan, to welcome them on the panel. Ranjan, how are you doing, my brother?
I'm doing very well, Nidhi. Thank you for having me. It's been a long time
Hello.
since we've been able to look at, games from top three, top four clubs across the globe. So looking forward to everything.
Ranjan, we can't. I don't know if it's just me or if it's everybody else, but can't hear you very clearly. And AJ, if you just don't mind, just make your phone like horizontal. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've muted your mic because there is some disturbance from your end, but we'll wait for that. But anyway,
Okay.
let's get this started. Let's welcome Zubin has joined the chat as well, and we have the full panel now. But before we start speaking about this particular game, let me give you a little bit of history about it. What I feel about Liverpool versus Newcastle. This is classic Premier League. This is what it is. You name it, classic Premier League games, big transfers, right? You name it. I mean, I know that we have written John Joe Shelby here, and that's a bit of a joke. But if you name it, like Kevin Keegan, uh, you know, Kevin Keegan, there are so many players that have gone from here to where, and we've seen these two teams at their very peak. But this is interesting. And Ranjan, I'll come to you first. What's the feeling going into a Liverpool versus Newcastle game? Not just this one, but overall.
So for me, it's also deeply personal because I have family who are big Liverpool fans. So nothing better than watching their faces the few times we do get a result over them. I love this fixture. I mean, even when Newcastle was at its absolute worst, you could count on them to largely sort of pull up their socks in the big games. And Liverpool is one of those teams. I remember being out with like a couple of Newcastle fans in Delhi in 2014 when we won 1-0. So it's a fun game. I have fond memories of it, and I finally think we have a team that has the sort of spine and fight, even if not necessarily the quality to you know make them really work for that quadruple.
Before us, Ranjan has mentioned the quadruple, and Ajay, I'll come to you, man. What does Liverpool versus Newcastle mean to you?
I think it means, what do you call it, trip down memory lane. Right? When I started watching, Newcastle, following the club, one of the things that I remember very distinctly is that the game between us and Liverpool used to be the one that decided who finished in the Champions League spots. Right? And to say that Liverpool have only gotten better from them, and we have gone to that, we were got relegated twice. I think it just shows how a part of the kind of diverged from that point in time, and then I think now is probably like what Ranjit was mentioning, right? It's our reckoning essentially. I think if we can put one over Liverpool today, I think we lay down a marker for what we can be, not just in the immediate term, but for a long term also, for us to kind of be aspirational without having to have any guilt that this will be plucked out of our hands at any point in time. So I think this is the stage. I think we just it's only starting for us.
Nidhi, you're on mute.
Yeah, am I audible?
Nidhi, you're on mute.
Nidhi, you're on mute.
Maybe you're on mute. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm saying your audio is not very clear. Perhaps it's the fan messing with your audio or something. Perhaps, or just get rid of the headsets, perhaps. It would be better.
I'll have it turned off. Perfect.
Yeah, yeah. But coming to you, yeah, Zubin. First of all, we have a lot of magpies in the chat already. Thank you all for joining. This is a Liverpool fan channel, and this is, but if you do like our content, if we like to make clean content, do consider subscribing. And coming to you, Zubin, what's the feeling? How are you feeling, man, going into this one?
So I'm very confident, to be very honest with you. I think we are watching one of Liverpool's strongest 11s. No disrespect to the champion sides that we've had in the past, but the team that and the way they're playing right now, I think we would give any football team the run for the money. Uh, See, I do respect Newcastle. They're one of the old generation, heritage clubs in Premier League football. So today's game is going to be beautiful. The atmosphere is going to be beautiful. It's evident of the Newcastle bounce with the new owners, the form that they're in. It's going to be an epic game for sure. But no disrespect to any of the Magpies in the chat and to both of you all, but I do see that we might have a little too much for them today. And keeping that in mind, I'm expecting Salah to be the first player to score and assist in at least 7 games in a Premier League season today. So yeah, that's what I think.
You
Right.
know what?
Look,
What I think.
please.
Sorry, what I think you're sort of underestimating or discounting is that you're not just playing Newcastle. You're playing Newcastle, the city, right? You have never. The stadium has never been this loud. The
Yeah,
fan
that's
Agreed.
support
one,
has
and
never been
this
this wide.
unified and this together.
Yeah, it is an atmosphere that, I mean, the last couple of games you watch, you have to turn down the volume on your TV when you're watching the games because of how loud things are. It is an absolute spectacle of a stadium. And that's what I'm counting on, right? Like if we were playing you guys at Anfield, despite the good form we've been on, I'd be terrified. I'd be like, oh my God, this could be a real hiding, right? But you've played midweek, right? Sure, Villarreal didn't run you very hard, but you're traveling away to the Northeast and to a stadium that is bouncing. That's where I think that this becomes slightly more even. I don't think you could take anything for granted.
Nidhi, again, you're on mute.
I'll put myself on unmute. I usually I'm doing that because of just the technical hassles going on here. But AJ, I'll come to you, and we can't take anything for granted. That's a very valid point made by Ranjan. From the turn of January, from the turn of the year, January onwards, Newcastle are second in terms of the number of points they have taken. Only Liverpool have taken more points off their opponents than Newcastle.
Right.
What is your feeling when you see this Liverpool side come and play you? Honestly speaking.
Now, honestly, I think this is the first time I've looked forward to us playing one of the top teams. Right. It's been a long time. We always kind of hope to get a point, get a streaky goal here and there, and somehow make sure that that our defenses hold good. This is
Hmm.
the first time in a long time I think we can match you foot for foot, not as
Okay.
individual players, but as a team collectively. I think that's where I think people don't give Eddie Howe as much credit as he should deserve. But he's got us playing as a team, and one of the best things about what I've actually noticed in the last few months, right, is a lot of these players have become self-aware, right, and it's also a process that Eddie Howe himself has gone through, wherein he's gone and worked with the likes of Diego Simeone and all of the rest, right, wherein he's had a moment to kind of reflect and become a better person, and that is now that is being passed on to the players. In each of these players, when you actually get to hear them speak, they know what they are doing, and not just that, and they know that even if I have a bad day, the person
Hmm.
to the right, left, front, behind me, they'll make sure that it's not going to be as bad as what it used to be. I think that confidence, knowing that the team has your back, right? It kind of puts your level of playing in a different spot altogether. I think that's where I think as a team we'll go toe to toe with Liverpool today. I hope we do, because even the other game, even the game in December, was closely contested until I don't want to talk about VAR and how VAR is what it is in terms of how differential it kind of the rules play out for the other 14 and the top six. So I think if at that point in time it was just 2 months into Eddie Howe's coaching, and now it's about 6 months, I tell you, I think you are in for a surprise. We have seen our club play week in week out. I think it's for you guys. It's going to be a surprise.
Mhm. Manas says personally feel there is so much for us to play for. Potentially eight more finals. I'm sure it will be a great atmosphere, but this Liverpool team is something special. And I'll come to you, Zubin, with that question in tow. Um, Bro, what kind of an approach do you think we will take in this game? Because we played Villarreal, we played Everton before that. Both we had to, work very hard for both these wins. What kind of an approach do you think Liverpool take in this particular team? And someone's asking about the lineup. Lineup will come in the next 18 minutes. We'll put it up here as well. Sorry, Zubin.
Yeah. So, see, of whatever we've seen of Jurgen Klopp and this Liverpool lineup, I think there's only one way that they approach a game. Whoever they play, there is heavy metal football. There is self belief in the ability of the system that they've put. Everyone knows their roles. Everything is defined. Probably a year and a half, 2 years ago, there were problems of depth which have been taken care of. Now, coming to probably my thought for this game, I am expecting changes. I am expecting probably our fullbacks to be rested. I am,
Both of them. Full
yes.
backs,
So I'm
both of them.
yes, I'm expecting Gomez and Simicast to start this game. For the simple reason is,
I
yeah,
am
Rajan.
not,
I said, I
bro.
hope
I am
so.
not. I'm not sure that will happen, and I'm not sure if that's a good idea. This is a dangerous Newcastle side. Like I said, they are in hot form, and they've picked up the most points just below us from the turn of January. But Ranjan, I'll come to you, and this is a question. This is a comment made by a fellow Newcastle fan of yours. He says a draw for Newcastle will feel like a victory. I don't want to talk about if it feels like a victory or not. But will Newcastle go for a draw? I don't think so.
Um, Look, it depends how you want to look at it, right? Because essentially, what we've fine tuned is like a really good counter-attacking game. And so I feel like every time we have a chance, we tend to go for it, especially when you have someone like Alanson Maximan up front. You're never really playing for a draw. There's always that moment of magic in his feet. And Eddie has also shown that he prefers a much higher pressing game, a much more
Mhm.
constant sort of form of, attack is the best defense almost sometimes. So I don't see us setting up for a draw. I see us really taking the game to Liverpool. I think this is probably the biggest hurdle Liverpool face in their quadruple thing. Because if you look at the Champions League, Madrid are so porous at the back. The game. I mean, City have clearly also just opened up at the back. It's ridiculous. 4-3. I mean, they're two of the best teams in Europe, right? And Villarreal. I mean, let's not. I mean, you can pretty comfortably look past them now, right? Everywhere else, I feel like the momentum is in favor of Liverpool. I think that Newcastle is the biggest banana skin in your path simply because of the form that we've been on, the self belief that we have, just running through the team right now. It's a crazy atmosphere from the owners down to the managers and the kit boys and the ball boys and everyone. Like the whole stadium, the city, the fans are bouncing. So I think with that atmosphere, I don't see us sort of sitting back and parking the bus for 90 minutes. I do think that we're going to try to make a game of it.
Yesterday, Manas and I did a live, and we were talking about it, about how Manas also feels that this is the game. If we win this, then it's on. Then it's on. So I agree with this. This game can be, can be really really important in in the bigger scheme of things. AJ, do you think Newcastle, you guys will go attacking today, or do you think maybe a cautious approach is what Eddie Howe will take?
So the only game I think in the last 4 months that I recollect that I think we came out of the game thinking, you know what, we really had a bad game was the Tottenham game, wherein Eddie Howe tried something different, where he tried to play five at the back and play counter-attacking, and you were very passive in the game. I think he would have learned his lessons that once you have a team switched on, right, it
Mhm.
doesn't make sense for them to kind of go passive and then change according to the game. I think. Um, because we have seen past relegation. I think we'll have to start playing to our strengths, which is like what Ranjan was mentioning. Our counter attacking. I think I really hope we have 3 or 4 good moments during the game where you'll see how matured and how comfortable players have become on the ball. They are not really now trying to just hit a diagonal or long ball and then hope somebody, Saint Maximin or Callum Wilson, latches onto it and does something with it. It's more measured. They are aware of their spaces. So I think one thing that I think Eddie Howe will do is he will manage time. Right, he'll try to
Hmm.
kind of play along with, because Liverpool has the midfield that it has. Uh, I think the biggest thing in everything that you're talking about is how our midfield competes with your midfield,
Right.
right? And that's where I think there is a battle to be won and lost.
I think,
And
is it just me or AJ is getting
if
stuck?
Yeah,
if we can kind of ebb and flow with it, we have to start, we have to kind of make sure towards the end of the first half we actually secure it and like
AJ, I think you're
guys
getting
for the second
stuck.
half too. Uh, the only aspect that I have is
AJ, AJ, I think you're getting stuck. You're behind.
if Eddie Howe can
Let's.
keep the scoring to 1 in the first half, I think you will see a
All right. But moving on, I mean, till AJ fixes it, Zubin, I'll come to you. And moving from a little bit of Newcastle to a little bit of Liverpool, is this going to be a the midfield that you would preferably go with?
So when I previewed the game, I believe that Henderson will probably start alongside Keita and Fabinho.
Hmm.
I have a feeling. So I'm expecting rotation for the simple reason that even though we're taking a 2 goal lead into midweek, uh, it's not going to be as comfortable. And we've played, I think, every 3 days this entire month, right? This was our
Right.
banana skin. Everyone hoped that this was the month where everything would end for Liverpool. But rival fans were expecting everything to come to an end. But we've kind of managed to play at a level which honestly a lot of us didn't even know that we had unlocked. And I think rotation is going to be key. No disrespect to Newcastle. Newcastle are coming into this game on amazing form. I think 4 wins in a row in the Premier League itself, and you know how teams have the manager bounce, they have this entire new owner bounce. The stadium's going to be packed. All of that, but that all being said, and I feel that we will have a little too much. And yeah, my midfield will be a Hendo, Fabinho, and Keita.
Okay. Ranjan, I'll come to you now. And where do you think is the key for Newcastle today? Is it the midfield? Is it the attack? Or is it stopping Liverpool's front three, which is
um,
basically defense?
so I think it's a combination of two things, and I think it all comes down to one man, which is Bruno Guimaraes. In my opinion, right now, Bruno is in the top, say, 3 to 5 midfielders in the entire Premier League. Right,
Hmm.
breaks up play brilliantly, fantastic in the tackle. His distribution is second to none. His vision is great, and he can finish like a boss. Right. I think it's going to come down to him how much he can sort of break up attacks alongside Joe Linton. I do think that based on how Joe Linton plays this game, he might find himself in the Brazil squad because he's been a revelation as well in midfield this year. So I do think it'll be a midfield battle ultimately.
Hmm.
I think that if we can sort of win that, then I think that we have enough opportunities to sort of counter and sort of hit Liverpool on the break and get something from the game. I think if we get overrun in midfield, we're going to have a nightmarish time.
Hardik says the real Bruno in the league. All right, Hardik, that was a good one. Um, all right. This again. Now, Zubin, um, I think there is a lot of similarity between Liverpool and Newcastle, not in terms of just the club, but I think the fans as well. We're both clubs that are known to have a very 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 passionate set of fans. How important do you think will the fans be for this one, for the Newcastle fans, of course?
See, if you ask me that, and if there's any team who is used to playing in an atmosphere that's crazy, that's loud, I think Liverpool's right up there. There are probably not a lot of stadiums where the opponent fans would probably intimidate us. St. James's Park might be one of those few. Uh, but I do feel that at some level, uh, the atmosphere will impact probably Newcastle in a method of creating an expectation against a club like Liverpool, where like, as even a few of them mentioned in the comment section, right? There's probably nothing to lose for Newcastle in this game. They got to go give it their all, and then just hope for the best, right? So I think the atmosphere in some way or the other could probably push them, but it will not really deter Liverpool from what they're out to get.
Fair enough. Now, Hardik says Villarreal draw is free, far from done. Rajan discount. Good evening at your own peril. Yes, I mean we will talk about Villarreal. We'll do a live about that as well. But yeah, the team news is going to be out in the next 5 minutes. AJ is still having some technical problems, so not a problem, guys. We will have him in a little bit. Um, all right. Now, Ranjan, what is the okay? So Samid is asking, Nidhi, you've been asking everyone, but what is your prediction for the game? So yeah, so I don't do score predictions. That is the only one thing I am superstitious about. I'm really superstitious about that. So I'm not going to do that. What I think is that a lot of people, a lot of Liverpool fans are thinking that Newcastle will perhaps go defensive in this game. I think cautious is the right word, but I don't see Newcastle playing defensive football like from the likes of what we saw at Everton, for example. Not at all. I don't think that is going to be the case. See, the thing is, and I'll make a bit of a self admission here because Newcastle, the way the season started, and when Newcastle made those signings, even with that, I thought it is too late for Newcastle in this particular season. I definitely thought they would go down. Eddie Howe deserves a lot of respect. He's surprised a lot of people, including myself. Uh, I and because of that, I think they're already at the ninth position. Newcastle. There is going to be a lot of fearlessness. If Newcastle lose this game, there is not going to be, it's not going to be the end of the world for them, right? With all due respect to Newcastle, right? When that happens, because they're not in a relegation battle, because this is a game where they're out to just impose themselves, show to the world that we are here, that brings a little bit of risk as well, because they will play, they will take the game to us, and that, speaking from a Liverpool point of view, that can actually work out for us as well. AJ, I'll come to you, man. I mean, you've been gone a long time. um, what would be your midfield for Newcastle for this one? What formation do you think Newcastle should play? Um, AJ is stuck again. But Zubin, as an outsider, now Eddie Howe, and I'll come to you, Ranjan, with this question. Now, what have you made of Eddie Howe uh,
So
in terms of his
as
progress?
So I don't know, probably I was one of the few who was very surprised that when Newcastle went and got got taken over by these really rich owners, expected them to probably also get a high profile manager in, and then kind of set that kind of a precedent from the start, is what I would have thought, from being an outsider fan of football, But Eddie Howe and what he did with Bournemouth, no, we can't discount that. He did a fabulous job, brought them up to the Premier League, did a very good job with them, stabilized them for a few seasons as well. So there's no questioning his credentials as a manager. There's no questioning his ability, his approach to the game. He wants to play good football. But I did kind of believe that there he probably might be a stopgap in what Newcastle want to now build. with the opportunities that Newcastle have, and literally endless pockets in terms of once again becoming one of the biggest clubs in the Premier League, where I feel that over a period of time there will come a level where Eddie Howe will probably find it difficult to break a barrier. No disrespect to him or to any of the fans, but this is what I feel, that eventually, if there comes to it comes to a level where he's fighting for a top 5 or a top 4, I don't think he will be able to be the man who will take them all the way there. But I'm sure the rest of them have something to say with their
Yeah.
smile.
Right. Ajay, I think he's still stuck. Ajay, are you there, bro? Can you hear us, see us? But let's till Ajay sorts it out. I think he's still experiencing some lag. This is a question by Manas Ranjan. Now, do you think Eddie Howe is the man to take Newcastle forward?
I'm there.
Because
I'm
the
there.
aspirations are bigger.
Am I audible?
There's a lag, bro. There's a lag.
Guys,
Ranjan, why don't you take it up?
Yeah. So I'll answer that. Happy to. When we were taken over and we were linked with a whole bunch of big names, including Conte, including Unai Emery, there was some section of the fan base that was really stoked about getting Eddie Howe, simply because we watched him with Bournemouth, severely under-resourced, always trying to play on the front foot, always playing attacking football. Now, after 3 years of Steve Bruce basically boring us to death, it was a breath of fresh air. Other clubs sort of laughed and they were like, "Oh my god!" Like they went for the Bournemouth guy. I mean, you haven't been following football and you don't know what he's been doing in the years that he's been away. I think that he's still severely underrated. More than anything, I think his tactics are pretty good, but I think his man management is top notch. I think his ability to look at players who have been bruised. I mean, I use that as a verb, bruised. To go back 6 years in your career is what being bruised is. I mean, to take players like that, dust them off, get that self belief back in, get that fitness going again, and get everyone coming together as a team. Never underestimate the power of a really, really good man manager. You know,
The the lineup is
ultimately,
here. The lineup is here, and we have Ajay back finally. I think we do. Ajay is finally back.
Yeah.
Uh, Ajay,
I'm so
man.
sorry, guys. I think there's been a. Uh, am I audible now?
yeah, you're perfect now.
Yeah,
Fine.
now you're out. Guys, can someone post the
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Newcastle
There's been
lineup
a
as well?
power cut and it's just been back and forth.
Salah doesn't start.
Big,
Milner
big, big
starts.
changes. Big changes. There's Milner in the lineup. There is Trent has been dropped. So Zubin, you got your wish. I am not so sure about but Trent has been playing relentlessly. This is the lineup, guys. Can someone post Newcastle's lineup as well? We would like to discuss it with the panel, of course. Zubin, first thoughts.
First thoughts: what is Milner doing in that midfield? That's first. The thought number one. I wouldn't have expected him to start. I'd probably, if you had to go and give a punt and give a chance, probably I would have appreciated Curtis getting a run out now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we haven't seen Harvey Elliott playing for a while. So James Milner starting there completely pulled a jugular to me. Did not expect that. Salah not starting is very surprising. I thought the thing is with our front 5 right now, front 4, because Firmino is out injured. It's really difficult to kind of figure out who Klopp is going to go with. But if there was one that you wouldn't want to drop at all, I think that would be Salah. Yes, Mane has been in fabulous form. Jota Diaz. I mean, this front 3 is capable of beating anybody on their day anyway. But Salah not starting, Milner starting is surprising. I did expect Simicas to probably get a run out, but Robertson, there are no complaints either. And as expected, Trent's getting his rest, which is much needed. So that works out.
We'll come to the Newcastle lineup also in just a bit. Ranjan has a big smile on his face looking at this lineup.
Because I'm
AJ,
just thinking about how everyone's fantasy Premier League has just gotten screwed for the weekend, right? Because
Ajay, what does this Liverpool lineup make you? This Liverpool lineup, what do you think? All right, Ajay is getting stuck again. Ajay is not having a good day internet wise. Ranjan, I'll come to you again, bro. What do you think?
I knew that Salah wasn't going to play today because
Okay.
every week before we
Crystal
play
ball.
a certain team, every week before we play a certain team, I
Am I
draft that
audible?
player into my
I think I just wanted
You're
to ask that question before I start
lag.
speaking
There's a
because
big
I've been
lag whenever
speaking.
you're speaking.
Yeah, Ranjan, you can go ahead
Yeah,
with the
no, no.
summary.
So every week before Newcastle plays a team, I draft three of their players into my fantasy Premier League team, and then I jinx them. They never have a good game once I pick them for my team, right? And I have Salah captained, so
Also,
either he wasn't going to start, or he was going to have a career-threatening injury. So I'm just glad he didn't start.
my. I think we need to speak every week before I kind of finish my change in the Premier League. Yeah.
Ajay, I think maybe you need to try from a different machine. But coming to the Newcastle lineup, and I'll come to you first, Zubin. What do you think? Looking at
So
this.
if I probably want to talk about the players who probably are missing out on injury, right? If you look at them, they're missing out Trippier, they're missing out Callum Wilson, they're missing out Ryan Fraser. You know, uh, I'm not saying that the players here are not as good, but I think those three, if were fit, would have probably created a little more of a headache for us. But when I look at this squad and the way the way Liverpool the shape of Liverpool, the high line that we play, and the fact that they have Saint Maximin there, who is probably one of the fastest out there in the Premier League,
Mhm.
we expect them to play probably a bunch of long balls, play on the counter, hoping to probably catch our high line out from that perspective. But Otherwise, as mentioned, I'd see Joel Linton probably dropping down a little bit, giving Maximin a free run around, trying to catch Matip and Van Dijk out of position if possible. I feel that now looking at the lineup, they're going to target Gomez. So he's got
Mhm.
to probably step up and uh, play his best. He's done a very, very fabulous job of stepping in for Trent whenever we've required. I think he's
That
started
is
the
correct.
two or three times in the last couple of months whenever Trent's been given a rest. So from that perspective, it is a little worrying given their pace that they have on the counter. But otherwise, I still feel that it's not enough.
Yeah, I think our biggest
Ranjan,
weakness. Yeah, I think
Ranjan,
our
straight up question. Happy with that lineup?
Look, you can't do much better with the team that we currently have, right? Obviously, if like Zubin said, if Trippier was fit, Trippier would walk straight in. If Wilson was fit, Wilson would be like definitely leading the line. But without that, we're essentially going back to the strategy that we used against Norwich last time out, where we just spanked them. And so what you're going to see is you're going to see Joelinton starting at the center, Maximin on the left, Almiron on the right. Lots of pace on the left and right? Because Miggy and Maximan are lightning quick. But over time, what you're going to see is the front three are going to become very fluid and start interchanging positions and making it really, really confusing for your defense to figure out who they're tracking, right? And especially
Mhm.
when you guys play such a high line, it then exposes you to losing a man, someone catching you out on the break, and things like that. So that's clearly what Howe seems to want to do. I like the team. The biggest worry for us for the last few years has always been Emil Kraft. But under Howe, he's had a miraculous sort of turn of form. For the last 2 months, he's been pretty decent. Usually, when he was on the team sheet, we would assume that we were going to concede a goal because of him.
Mhm.
Right? It was almost a given. Like Kraft is going to screw up at some point, they're going to score. But he's marshaled a lot of really, really good players really well. Like he had Zaha in his back pocket for 90 minutes. And Zaha is a fairly tricky character. So I mean, this is as good as our team gets at this point with injuries.
Right. Zubin, good decision to rest Trent.
Nidhi, you're breaking up for me. Uh, I don't know if it's the same for Ranjan as well.
I can hear both of you just fine.
I can hear and see Ranjan perfectly all right.
Can you repeat that, please?
You are breaking up.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Saikat says Klopp playing the Pep roulette too. Yeah, Saikat, I'll take that. I'll put a little bit of my comment on that. Um, Not really, man. See, the thing is that Salah has had a very, 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 very busy schedule. This is obviously not ideal, and that's what Manas is saying as well. Um, you know, I wanted Thiago and Fabinho to get some rest, but man, this is slightly scary. It is scary in the sense that this is not something that we are used to seeing. But the point is, bro, that Salah has been playing non-stop football for Egypt and for Liverpool from December onwards. That man has got no rest at all, right? Fortunately, in the front, we have enough confidence. We do have a lot of quality players who will go ahead and who can go ahead and do a job. The midfield does because does worry me a little bit, and there I agree with Manas a bit, because Milner is not the quickest, and now we have ASM versus Gomez. That's going to be a big battle, right? And they will and Newcastle will look to exploit Joe Gomez, and and let's be fair, he's not played that regularly this season. But Zubin, where do you think we can exploit this Newcastle side? There has been a lot of talk about what Newcastle will do. Where do you think we can win this game at?
I think, as Ranjan did mention, I still do believe that if we have to look at them from a defensive standpoint, Kraft is the place that we could probably look at. Uh, I will expect Diaz to be at his best from that perspective. The way he's taken to the league is amazing. I would want to see about how interchangeable our front three would be as well. Given the situation, because Jota thrives in the center, Mane thrives in the center. So I would want to see how we kind of set up on the right hand side and the center, because I don't think Diaz is going to move too much. But keeping that in mind, I think to answer your question, I think their fullbacks are somewhere where we could probably end up finding a little bit of space and finding the back of the net.
Yeah. To the question that Abhishek said, Klopp taking Newcastle lightly, and I think Manas is also saying the same thing here. Abhishek, I don't agree with you. With all due respect to you, I don't think he's taking Newcastle lightly. The team that he's put out is still a very good team. Some of our guys genuinely needed rest. I mean, I know that as fans, we want our best team to play all the time, but think of how much football Trent has played, right? Think of how much Robertson has played, right? So there is a lot, and somebody has posted Ramadan and all. I don't know how much of that to bring in, because I can't bring that context in because I don't understand it. So I would not speak on that. But he's showing faith in the squad. One of the things is, as Liverpool fans, one thing I'd like to say is we throughout summer, throughout the last few years, we've always said squad nahi hai, squad nahi hai, squad nahi hai. We need a squad, right? And when we have a squad, when players are rotated, then people are also upset. So I mean, it's a very big conundrum for for me to, at least for me to understand. We have to rotate the squad, right? We have to give players chances. If Joe Gomez is not played at all, and then he puts in a transfer request in the summer, then we are going to go back to the same thing. Oh, we don't have players, get them more. Then when the player comes and he's played, then we'll be like, oh, why are we changing the team? So I just wanted to address that a little bit. So IndieCop is in the chat, guys. IndieCop says, I'm so nervous, not doubting Klopp at all, but I'm still nervous. um Ranjan, I'll ask you this question as an outsider, because this is a Liverpool based channel and we talk about Liverpool only on this channel primarily. But is it the same for you guys? Do you feel nervous before all the games? Because it seems that the Liverpool fan base is like anxiety central just
So,
before a
so you
Liverpool.
guys are anxiety central. We are depression central, right? So we've had no, it's insane. We've had 14 years, okay, of everyone being clinically depressed every weekend. Just imagine lining up every weekend and be like, "Oh my God, we're going to get smashed again. We have the worst manager in the league. We have the worst owner in the league. This sucks." And you still love this team with all your heart, so you stay there, right? And the team and the
Yeah.
group we have of like Indian Newcastle fans, We've been so tight for the last 10 years because A, misery loves company, and B, you need emotional support. No one else understands the suffering we go through. So this is a rare moment for us where we're moving out of depression and into hope, and it's a very alien concept for us, right? We're like, oh my God, I'm waking up on a Saturday with like hope and optimism. What is happening? So, I mean, hopefully we get to the point where we become anxious like you guys instead of just clinically depressed. Um, but yeah, it's a wild time.
Yeah. JS says, I assume he's a Newcastle fan, and he says all fan bases have anxiety, even though we play the lowest ranked team. That is true, JS. Here, I was just talking about, as Liverpool fans, so I'm talking from a Liverpool point of view. Guys, we'll do this for 15-20 more minutes, and then we'll close this because people will have to get into their pre-match rituals. I certainly have to. So we'll take a few more questions, guys. If you guys have any questions to ask Ranjan, Zubin, or myself, just put it in the comments and we'll take it up. But Zubin, coming to you now, this game, right? And let's talk a little bit about this particular game because St James's Park, it's not an easy place to go to. We all know that, right? This Newcastle team is in form and everything. Do you think this is the game that tells us, because there has been a lot of talk about and it's positive as well as negative, a lot of Liverpool fans think that this is the game where either we hand over the title to City or we stake our claim completely, and this is where we put that mental anchor on City, on Pep. What is your thinking?
See, to be honest, for us, every game is like that, right? Because unless City drop a point, then us winning everything or not winning anything is pointless. So if you had to choose a crunch game, I don't believe it's this one because I think we still have Spurs to play. I do believe that Spurs will be, in the middle of a top four race at that point of time. So that probably if for that particular answer whether this is the crunch game, then I feel no. I if you had to choose one, I would probably choose the Spurs game. Even though I want to kind of emphasize that every game we play is a crunch game. We slip up today, and City are comfortable. We win today, we go to the top of the league for a couple of hours and kind of make them a little jittery against Leeds, if I'm not wrong. But I do want to kind of, go back to something that I think Abhishek had mentioned about rotation, right? And the Pep rule. Um, so April was a heavy month, but everyone was focusing on April. I don't think a lot of people have figured out that by the time 14th May comes, we'll be playing another 5 games, including today. We're still going to be playing a game every 3 days for the next or for the better half of May. So keeping that in mind, rotation is key. It is the most important thing. But yeah, every game is significant. We slip up once and the league is out of our hand. Uh, if there was a team which I was probably hoping not to face in terms of the atmosphere and in terms of the bounce that they have right now, it would be Newcastle. But this is not definitely for me not the defining game of whether we're going to probably make it or break it.
And this is a question that a lot of people are talking about, Ranjan.
Challenge for European spots. Um, Look, honestly, if we sneak even a conference, I mean, honestly, I'd rather we don't get into the conference because screw that tournament. It's so pathetic. I missed the days where it was just the Europa and the Champions League. Do I think we'll be challenging for it next year? No. If we challenge for say a sixth or seventh or eighth place spot in the next 3-4 years, I'd be happy. For next year, it's about stabilization. It's about building a core. It's about slowly shedding deadwood. And besides, there's no point going for Europe when you don't have homegrown players or decent homegrown players that bed
Hmm.
into the squad as well. So you also need to figure that out over the next couple of years. Right now, they've given new contracts to Sean Longstaff, or he's in the middle of contract negotiations. The only reason you'd probably do that is for the homegrown quota, right? Similarly, players like Matt Target and things like that. So I don't think that Europe is something that we should be targeting like in the immediate future, but maybe in the next 2-3 years with good investment and sensible like development of say the youth teams and things like that. Yeah, maybe in 3 years or so.
So Ranjan, do you believe from a Newcastle standpoint that the lineup and the squad that you have today is probably going to be very different from what you have in a couple of years from now?
Oh, 100%. Oh, 100%. Like, look, Emil Kraft, for everything that he's done, is not, he's too lightweight for the Premier League, right? Almiron, for example, very quick, but very little end product, lots of endeavor, but not too much in terms of that final ball. He'll likely be gone as well. We have Chris Wood and Callum Wilson up top. Both of them, I mean, Chris Wood, not big goal scorer. Callum Wilson, always injured. They're likely gone, right? People like Jamal Lascelles and things like that, just too many errors in them, they'll be gone, right? So I feel like a lot of the players we currently have are placeholders for this transition period, like say John Joe Shelby, right? Or Fabian Shaw. Fabian is like what, 30 now? He has a 30 thereabouts. He has another couple of years in him at most. All the bulk of the squad are transition players, right? The players who I think will maybe be a part of us longer term would be say Bruno, Joe Linton, Joe Willock, and Alan Saint Maximin. Those are the players that I believe will be our future, right? And I believe that the team will slowly be built around them. Even Dan Burn to some extent, excellent giant lamp like lighthouse of a defender. Matt Target as well if we get to keep him after this season ends. I think those are the players that will form the core of the squad going forward.
Guys, there are a lot of questions about Newcastle and Eddie Howe's future. We'd love to take that, but there is a game in the next 40 minutes, so let's focus on that, guys. Please, we'd love to have Ranjan and AJ properly back sometime, on a live and talk more about Newcastle. If you guys are game, Ranjan, we would absolutely love that.
Always, man.
But for now, let's focus more on the current lineup. And Zubin, I'll come to you. Um, Now we've gone with and the reason I'm taking time to say this is because it's going to come out a little weird, but we've gone with Henderson and Milner.
Yeah.
Famously, when we played Milner against a pacey opposition, although he was at right back, today he's in midfield. And famously, when we played him at right back, that too, we had no option. Against Foden, we played him. Milner, for the lack of a better word, he had a rough evening. Do you see that happening today? Let's focus purely on Milner for now.
I see. He is a
Nilesh,
workhorse.
we'll do that. We'll do that.
He is a workhorse. He puts in his shift. But I feel that if there is a bunch of players, I think he's probably going to be one of the slowest players on the pitch, the ball or without the ball, in
Yeah.
perspective of what we have or the players around him. Like when I look at Milner, is he going to be able to add to a pacey counter attack if he has the ball at his feet? Probably not. If we're caught on the counter and he has to track back, will he be able to catch a Maximin or an Almiron? Probably not. So I'm kind of very confused. I've started probably it's been 20 minutes for me to also try and figure out why would Klopp want to play a Milner. Yes, probably the intangibles of leadership on the pitch, and probably just because we're going to be playing 3 games a week for the next 3 weeks. But I actually don't know how to answer your question of what is Milner going to do. I just hope that Otherwise, logically, if you're going to play a Milner in midfield, you wouldn't want to rest a Fabinho, right? So because probably
I
the
am
defensive,
Yeah,
he kind of
I'm
figures that
I'm
out.
struggling. I'm struggling with that thought as well. And before that, I mean, let's take a question from Saikat Sanyal. Saikat, we'd love to have you on the channel as well, bro. Sometime. I know you replied to us, but we had already spoken with Ajay and Ranjan, so we'd love to have you as well sometime. He says, have a lot of respect for Klopp and Liverpool fans. The fan base has stuck by them even during difficult phases, and now they're riding a wave. Same template for Newcastle, hopefully. Well. I can say that I have visited Newcastle, and it's Newcastle is probably it's I think the only city in England with only one club. Most places have more than one, and Newcastle is the only city with just one club. So the fans are obviously extremely passionate, and let's see what happens. It is, definitely a big Premier League story that can unfold for Newcastle United, and no one can doubt the passion that Newcastle fans have. It's a gamble Klopp has taken.
Guys, I think you're a little disrespectful towards Milner. And this is speaking from he used to be one of our boys back in the day before the
No, no,
dark
no.
days. of
I'm
Newcastle.
I love James Milner. I'm just
You know,
saying that
it's
he,
leadership, though. It's leadership and
he's a little,
experience.
yeah, but in terms of skills, speed is not one of his skills, and you guys have clearly gone for pace.
Look, we also have John Joe Shelby.
Who is one of our old boys.
So right now, like to me, this is the battle of John Joe versus
This is the John Joe
Milner.
Shelby derby, bro.
And I would still pick Milner in a foot race against John Joe, right? So, so I don't think all is lost. I do think that Milner is very intelligent. He's also willing to commit to a tackle 10 times out of 10. I think he's been a great servant for your club.
Yeah,
Genuinely, when he
100%.
left Newcastle, it broke my heart because he was one of those players who always gave his all for the shirt, right?
Yes.
And if I was thinking that, okay, you guys have, I mean, agreed, I much prefer the midfield you're playing today, right? From a Newcastle perspective.
Precisely, right.
But if these were my choices as my backup options, I wouldn't be that depressed as a Liverpool fan. I'd still know that you have players playing for the badge who are going to put their all in and who have the experience to compensate for that lack of pace and things like that. If you look at, for example, Trippier, who granted is still very, very quick, a lot of what he does, a lot of the value that he added to us when he came in before he got injured was experience and smarts. Where a ball would come in, he would be at the right place at the right time, always with a clever touch and clever turn of pace, know how to draw a foul, know when to put a tackle and when not to. Right. I think that with Milner's experience, you still have those things in your favor. Like, yes, he might not be as
Mhm.
fast, but he's not going to be the man tracking Saint Maximin. You're going to have three men on him at all times when he has the ball, right? And so I don't see it as that big of a drawback. I see a lot of comments where they're like, "Oh my God, the Henderson Milner combination," right?
That's the younger part of our fan base, and I get them. I get what they're trying to say, dude. So Klopp, one of the favorite quotes that Klopp has said to me, not to me, I mean to for me, is basically when he said that without players like James Milner, it's impossible to win the kind of stuff that we have. And I totally agree with that. I am a huge James Milner fan. I can't tell you the amount of times I have argued with people who've said, James Milner is this, James Milner is that. Harneet has asked a question. First of all, thank you, Harneet, for the super chat. Madrid or City, who will win? A bit out of place, but I think that yeah, it's tough to say, and we will talk about it. I think that City have a very good chance, but it's Real Madrid. It's at Bernabeu. You never know. That's my take on that.
No,
Um,
I would want to face a Real Madrid in the final than City. Let's put
let's
it that.
Yeah, all right. Let's. But a couple more questions, and then we will close the chat because it's kickoff time is nearing. And Zubin, I'll come to you first, bro. Um, who will be the standout player for Liverpool today?
Diaz.
Luis Diaz.
I feel that there is, he brings that, for the lack of the better word, he's that naughty player. He brings that Suarez kind of a impression to the game. He kind of is that little bit of a naughty boy. He's quick. He's fast. He can score. So I think for us, he is going to play a very important role. That being said, I feel Mane is going to get on the score sheet if Mane plays central as well. So yeah.
Yeah, it is definitely could be. Diaz is the guy who brings chaos. That is something that we saw in the Everton game as well. It was him that pulled Everton out of shape. Ranjan, your standout player, is it going? Are you going to say the obvious, or is your answer going to be a bit different?
Bruno. He's just leagues above anything we've had for so many years. Like we were crying out for a Kabaya replacement like 7, 8 years ago. We never got it. We finally do. Bruno is magic. Like the things he does, you just haven't seen in a Newcastle shirt in so many in like decades. I do think so, and I do agree that Diaz is probably the biggest threat that Liverpool have. His like that sort of spark that he has, and his willingness to take on players, his willingness to try something like flair. Yeah, I definitely think he's our the biggest threat to us.
He might get that extra half a second in midfield as well, with the midfield that we've put out, which could probably work against us. I also feel
Right.
I was having that thought about why Milner. Probably given the fact that he's played at St James's Park so much, he understands the atmosphere. He probably and given the bounce, he probably
Yeah.
is in for these intangibles more than anything. Whether he plays 90 or no idea. But I think he is there probably to calm the nerves more than anything else.
I'm just
Especially
hoping
All right.
old club.
All right, gentlemen. All right, gentlemen. I think we've spoken a lot, but first of all, thank you everyone who joined the chat. Hope you guys like the chat. If you do, please make sure that you like the stream. See, the thing is, the YouTube algorithm works in such a way that if you like the video, more football fans get to see this. We love to have as many. This is a Liverpool-based channel, but we absolutely love to hear from every fan base. So just go ahead and like the video, guys. It really helps us as content creators. And just to end this, guys, Ranjan, I'll come to you, bro. Score predictions. Let me put you on the spot.
Either a 1-1 draw or 2-1 Newcastle.
1-1 draw or 2-1 to Newcastle. All right, that's Ranjan with his prediction. Zubin, what's yours?
So before I saw the lineup, I had predicted a 3-0 win for us. After seeing the lineup, I think it's going to be a little bit of a cagey affair. Maybe I want to go into the match with that expectation, but I think we're going to come out of this with 2-0. An easy 2-0 victory that way, from a scoreline perspective.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining in. So Drog Baba Shashwat is going to join me. We want to address something. He is coming on the chat right now. But thank you so much, thank you so much, Ranjan. Thank you so much for making the time to be on Menace in the Mob. Hopefully, you enjoyed the chat. And hopefully, right. And thank you so much, Zubin. As always, it's a pleasure, to have you guys on the chat. Thank you, guys. Go ahead and like the video, subscribe to Menace in the Mob if you like the content, and up the Reds.
Yeah, how are the lads? See you guys.
See you guys. Bye bye.
Thank you so much, guys. Bye bye.
Yes.
Guys, there is something going on about Ankit and Rock Baba is here. बाबा यार मैं काफी पढ़ रहा हूँ और मुझे पता नहीं, मैं तो स्ट्रीम पे था तो मुझे पता नहीं व्हाट हैपेंड।
कल अंकित भैया अपने मेंबर्स के साथ, अपने चैनल के सब्सक्राइबर्स के साथ वो कल करते हैं लाइव कॉल इन, जिसमें वो डिस्कस करते हैं कि मतलब वो फुटबॉल कंटेंट के साथ. सो वन फकर played some objectionable clip and his channel got terminated and that was for like 4-5 seconds. तो मैं बस यहाँ पर इसलिए आया हूँ, I want to send this message across.
नहीं बाबा, before that मैं बोलूंगा ये स्ट्रीम ना आप अपने इस पे अगर पोस्ट कर दो ताकि जो हमको देखते हैं, आपका obviously number of people that watch you is much bigger, तो ये मैसेज बहुत जरूरी है पहुंचना.
हाँ, ये तो मैंने डाल दिया अपने चैनल पे वीडियो. इट इज बीइंग अपलोडेड एज वी स्पीक. वो तो मैं कर रहा हूँ, वो मैं अपने चैनल पे डाल रहा हूँ. लेकिन अभी मैंने देखा कि लाइव हमारी ऑडियंस है और मतलब कुछ लोग
करते हैं यार, ये
मुझे समझ नहीं आता. मैं बस यही कहना चाहता हूँ कि भाई कोई भी कंटेंट क्रिएटर होता है वो अपना खून पसीना लगाता है. हम 3-4 बजे सोते हैं, सुबह 8 बजे उठ जाते हैं. हमारी कोई फैमिली लाइफ नहीं रही है बिकॉज ऑफ द लव ऑफ कंटेंट क्रिएशन, और हमने चूज की है ये लाइफ. पहली बात तो किसी ने थोपी नहीं है हम पे. तो आपको इज्जत करनी है उस मेहनत की. बीट 1MUFC, बीट टॉक फुटबॉल HD, YJR, मार्करोनी, दिव्यांश AKG, संडे लीग पंडित, जितने चैनल है, मेनेस एंड द मॉन्क, भाई आपको हक नहीं बनता है किसी की मेहनत को इस तरीके
मेहनत
से
को इस तरह से
बेइज्जत करने का। दिस
यार
इज
पता है
एब्सोल्युटली
आपको,
इनसेंसिटिव।
मैं ना मैं मैं ना एज अ मैं नया कंटेंट क्रिएटर हूँ, मैं छोटा कंटेंट क्रिएटर हूँ।
अरे छोटा
मानस और
बड़ा
मैं
कुछ,
नहीं
छोटा
नहीं नहीं,
छोटा बड़ा
मतलब
कुछ
कहने,
नहीं होता भैया।
आई नो बाबा, आई नो बाबा, मैं बस बोल रहा हूँ कि यार देखो, बहुत मेहनत लगती है, बहुत ज्यादा मेहनत लगती है। आपको आइडिया नहीं है कि एक आधे घंटे का वीडियो एडिट करने में ना जो इंसान का पसीना निकल जाता है, और इंसान क्या क्या करता है, और हम कितनी मेहनत करते हैं। ये इस चीज का ना थोड़ा सा साइड इफेक्ट हमने भी देखा है, बट ये this is really really unfortunate and this is really really shameful whoever has done this। एक तो यार वो
बात
इंसान आपको,
बात हुई है क्या अंकित से किसी
हाँ
की?
मेरी बात हुई
is
है
Ankit
मेरी।
is Ankit available? I'd like to bring him on if
बट क्या 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 बोला वो बाबा, मतलब
अपील किया है उन्होंने, ही इज फाइल्ड फॉर्मल मेल, और उन्होंने मेरे को लैंग्वेज भी भेजा है व्हाट ही हैज सेड इन दैट। लेकिन यार हमको पता है क्या होता है, ये यूट्यूब इज वेरी स्ट्रिक्ट रिगार्डिंग दीज गाइडलाइंस, और ऐसा हो भी चुका है पहले। बट मतलब भाई मैं बस ये प्लेटफॉर्म इसलिए लेना चाहता हूँ, मैं सॉरी मैं थोड़ा सा
अरे
अनइनवाइटेड आ
इसमें
गया,
सॉरी की कोई
बट
बात ही नहीं है, इसमें सॉरी की
लेकिन
क्या बात है?
लेकिन आई वुड लाइक टू टेक दिस अपॉर्चुनिटी कि लेट्स होप कि वी गेट द चैनल बैक, वी गेट द ऑलमाइटी ब्लूज
आई
एफसी
रियली
बैक।
होप
अगर नहीं आता है तो हमारी और आपकी जिम्मेदारी बनती है टू
हम
गेट इट वेयर इट इज
we
एंड
will get
बियॉन्ड
it
दैट।
higher, we will get it
हाँ
higher,
वी विल
we
गेट
will
इट
get,
हायर। हाँ, और
हाँ
यही टाइम है जब हमको एज अ कंटेंट क्रिएटर सबको साथ में खड़े रहना है फॉर दिस इशू।
100%, इसमें कोई
हाँ
डाउट ही नहीं है। मैंने बाय द वे अभी यार तने इज आस्किंग थॉट्स ऑन गोमेज स्टार्टिंग। तने
वो
यार
हम बाद में बात करते हैं।
हम बाद में बात कर लेंगे इसके बारे में, बट
बट यार मेरे को
हाँ
सबसे बुरी बात ये लग रही है कि साला अंकित के साथ ऐसा हुआ। अंकित
इतना
जैसा बंदा
अंकित
इतना
जैसा बंदा,
अंकित भैया is the most humble and most hardworking guy in our content creation space. I can say without a shadow of a doubt. उनसे ज्यादा हार्डवर्किंग
कोई
बंदा मैंने
डाउट
नहीं
ही
देखा
नहीं
है।
है, कोई डाउट ही नहीं। एंड आई
दिस
हैव
इज नॉट
नेवर
इवन
एवर
डिबेटेबल।
आई हैव नेवर एवर सीन अंकित इन अ
अरे
बैड मूड।
भैया,
मतलब अंकित ऐसा इंसान है ना कि मैं चाह
बट
के उससे झगड़ा नहीं।
स्टिल अंकित भैया हैज अ स्माइल ऑन हिज फेस। भाई क्या
अरे
किस चीज के
अगर
बने हो भैया?
इंसानी हो जाती गलती।
आपकी गलती नहीं है।
अगर मेरे को कोई अभी 20 लाख रुपए भेज देना और बोल दे जाके अंकित से झगड़ा कर लो, उसके लिए मिल जाएंगे, मैं चाह के नहीं कर पाऊंगा।
कोई नहीं यार, होता है कोई नहीं, मतलब that's something, let's hope कि it kind of comes up. Thanks a lot यार, you guys, I know love is there, it's going to be there, but we'll rebuild it, hopefully we'll certainly do that, but yeah, thanks for the support for sure. I can see a lot of people in the chat already बोल रहे हैं, और of course panel भी, लेकिन हाँ, that's something that I'm वही है hope, more than YouTube I'm kind of hoping on you guys here, of course, लेकिन हाँ, absolutely
बाबा
नहीं
यही
आप
फील है कि यार
चिंता मत करो
अंकित भाई, अगर चैनल नहीं भी आता है ना तो नया बनेगा, उसको हम लोग जो था ना उसके ऊपर ले जाएंगे, डोंट वरी, वो हमारी
हाँ
रिस्पांसिबिलिटी।
वो तो है यार, डेफिनेटली करेंगे एब्सोल्युटली। लेकिन हाँ, मतलब इम्पोर्टेंट गेम फॉर यू गाइस, लिवरपूल आज।
अरे भैया एक सेकंड रुको, एक
अरे
सेकंड,
यार रुको ना
एक
यार,
सेकंड,
अभी
एक
अभी
सेकंड रुको।
टॉपिक इज
ये
मैं
सब
मेरा
बात मत
माइंड
कर
डाइवर्ट
भैया।
करना है।
मैं कह रहा हूँ ये एक कम्युनिटी के लिए मैसेज है कि हम जो तुमको लिबर्टी देते हैं कि आओ हमारे साथ इंटरेक्ट करो, फॉरगेट इट नाउ, फॉरगेट इट नाउ। मेरी भी मेंबरशिप लॉन्च हुई थी, मैंने भी उसमें एक पर्क डाला था अपनी मेंबरशिप में कि आई विल बी डूइंग अ लाइव स्ट्रीम विद द मेंबर्स। नहीं कर रहे अब हम, ना वो मेनेस एंड द मॉन्क पे होगा, ना वो ड्रॉग बाबा पे होगा, ना किसी चैनल पे होगा वो, बिकॉज वी कैन नॉट टेक द रिस्क। इट टेक्स ब्लड स्वेट एंड टीयर्स टू बिल्ड अ चैनल फ्रॉम स्क्रैच भाई, और तुम इस तरीके की फालतू हरकत कर दोगे, और मतलब आप खराब इमेज चला रहे हो। आदमी को तो समझने में, प्रोसेस करने में 2 से 4 सेकंड लगेगा कि ये हुआ क्या।
उतने में तो
सही
यूट्यूब
बात है।
बैन कर देता है।
यूट्यूब ने बैन कर दिया भाई। तो आप ना, पहली बात तो जो कंटेंट क्रिएटर्स है ना, उनकी मेहनत का मजाक उड़ाना बंद करें। और जो तुम ये चूतिए 15-16 साल के बच्चे हो ना, तुमको आगे चांटा मारूंगा घर में घुस घुस के एक को जो ये हरकत कर रहा है। तुमको
और बहुत
अंदाजा
ढंग है
नहीं
ना
है।
बाबा, देयर आर लॉट ऑफ वेज, आपको निकालना खुन्नस, बाकी मतलब बहुत
डीएम करके गाली दे दो यार, डीएम करके गाली दे दो, कमेंट में लिखो जो लिखना है।
हाँ मतलब एक चीज बाबा को मैं ऐड करना चाहूंगा, जो बाबा बोल रहे हैं कि अभी जो अभी अनफॉर्चुनेटली अंकित के साथ जो हुआ है वो तो मतलब अभी अनप्रेसिडेंटेड है हम सब के लिए। बीच में हमारे साथ एज न्यू यूट्यूब क्रिएटर्स हमारे साथ कुछ हुआ था, और मतलब जो आप बोलते हो हंसी मजाक में घर पे बैठ के लैपटॉप के पीछे बहुत आसान है, जब पूरी दुनिया यू वाचिंग द वर्ल्ड गो बाय, आपका तो कुछ, आप कुछ कर तो रहे नहीं हो। हम आपको कोशिश करें आपके साथ to grow together, और आप ऐसे कर रहे हो, मतलब like Ankit has a job, Ankit is doing this from scratch to
Exactly.
help all of us. और ये ऐसा, मतलब ये कैसा मजाक है यार, मतलब आप क्या, मतलब 10 साल के हो क्या, मतलब कि ये आपको फनी लग गया, मतलब what is this, मतलब this is so stupid,
नहीं
मतलब
10 साल के तो नहीं है मानस, लाइक ऑनेस्टली
नहीं,
मतलब
जितने भी
इट
साल
इज अ
के हैं यार,
स्मार्ट
जितने
वे
भी
ऑफ
साल
डूइंग
के
थिंग्स।
हैं, मतलब ये बहुत ही ज्यादा मतलब गिरी हुई ओछी हरकत है। मैं ऑनेस्टली यही बोल सकता हूँ कि ये मतलब यू डोंट नो।
भाई
मैं एक ना
मेरे हिसाब
एक
से
कैनवा का ना एक कैनवा पे थंबनेल तुम डिजाइन करके बता दो मेरे को, वीडियो एडिट
निधि
करना तो दूर की बात है।
निधि भैया, getting someone rid of his source of income is a crime in my opinion, and
इट
crime
इज अ
has no
क्राइम।
age, and crime has no age, crime has no
एग्जैक्टली।
age.
हॉरिबल यार, मतलब
नहीं इतना
भाई
दिमाग बाकी चीज में क्यों नहीं लगाते यार, जो भी है मतलब इतना दिमाग बाकी चीज में क्यों नहीं लगाते, मतलब वो नाम भी चेंज करना, तुम्हें
तुम
मॉडरेटर
हमको
भी।
गालियां देते हो कि तुमने ये क्या बोलते हैं, हाँ यार, जेओडी गेमिंग का करना एक बार हाईलाइट मैसेज।
दिख नहीं रहा है मेरे को, एक मिनट।
बाबा
निधि
करण
है
सिंह
इधर।
मैजिक को बोल के एक बार अंकित भैया के लिए ट्वीट कर, वो वाला
हाँ
क्या?
हाँ, ये
अच्छा,
करा
हाँ
दूंगा, ये मैं आई विल सी टू इट, इट हैपेंस भाई। थैंक यू सो मच यार फॉर आइडियाज।
अरे नहीं एकदम, मतलब
हाँ
आई नो
हाँ।
एज अ मैटर ऑफ फैक्ट larger part of the community is for me and for all our content creators, including our content creators, लेकिन वही है that 1% ना we have to filter out, और वो unfortunately because of this क्या होने वाला है, like बाबा said, अब कोई भी allow नहीं करेगा, and that is something that everyone is suffering, like again everyone जो भी है यार, whoever that person is, I would love to
एंड
know and talk to that person man.
एंड व्हाई अंकित भैया हैज टू पे द प्राइस ऑफ इट भाई? हमको जो लेसन सीखना है, व्हाई अंकित भैया हैज टू पे द फुल प्राइस ऑफ इट? ये हमारे लिए
Exactly.
एंड
लेसन हो गया एक। मेरे मन में
सपोर्ट,
दहशत दहशत बैठ गई है भाई।
हाँ सपोर्ट फ्रॉम निश एज वेल यार, थैंक यू सो मच यार निश, यू नो दैट रियली मीन्स अ लॉट। ऑफ कोर्स यू विल नेवर वॉक अलोन यार। यही है कि यार देखो, हंसी मजाक अपनी जगह पे है, वो आदमी बहुत मेहनत करता है यार, ही इज
दिस
नॉट अ
इज
यूट्यूबर
दिस इज
जो किसी
नॉट
को
इवन
बुला के।
फनी। दिस इज
हाँ,
नॉट इवन फनी। आपने कुछ उखाड़, मतलब क्या आपने क्या कर लिया ये करके यार?
और फिर हम बोलते हैं जब एज इंडियंस हमको इतनी गालियां पड़ती, गालियां मतलब हमारा मजाक उड़ाया जाता है कि तुम इंडियन हो, तुमको फुटबॉल के बारे में कुछ नहीं पता है, तुम क्रिकेट
तो
पे
तुम
कॉन्सेंट्रेट
कंटेंट
नहीं
सजेस्ट
करते
कर
हो।
दो ना कि हम क्या बनाएं, तुम
हाँ,
बताओ।
तो
तुम
हमको
कंटेंट भी नहीं
तो
बताते हो
हमको
कि
बड़ा
किस बारे
बुरा
में बात
लगता है।
करना
एंड जब एक कम्युनिटी है जो कोशिश कर रही है फुटबॉल के लिए कुछ करने की, अभी जैसे बाबा के चैनल पे देयर आर एक्चुअल स्पोर्ट्स पीपल दैट हैव कम, हमारे चैनल पे एक्स लिवरपूल प्लेयर्स आए हैं यार। जब कोई कोशिश कर रहा है तो तुम उसको इस तरह से ट्रीट करोगे? This is really shameful. It's not funny. I agree with बाबा, ये फनी भी नहीं है, ये बहुत ही घटिया
है?
हरकत है और कुछ नहीं।
दिस इज सिक, दिस इज ग्रोटेस्क। और मतलब मैं
बट
मतलब वर्ड्स नहीं है मेरे पास। आई एम
बट
रनिंग आउट ऑफ वर्ड्स टू बी
No, the
बट
ऑनेस्ट।
same
अंकित,
people मतलब they
अगर
don't
कुछ
have guts
प्रोसेस
यार
है,
to come out. They don't have the
बट हाँ
guts, they don't
बाबा,
have the balls to
बट
actually do
अंकित
it
अंकित
themselves.
यार, अगर कुछ प्रोसेस है, मुझे तो पता नहीं है। मानस
हाँ
तू क्या
कुछ
बोल
है
रहा
तो बता, कुछ हम लोग कुछ अगर कर सकते हैं, मेरे को
ट्वीट
तो पता।
है? इफ वी
ट्वीट
कैन
कर दो।
राइट अ टेस्टिमोनियल,
ट्वीट करते
इफ
हो।
वी कैन राइट अ टेस्टिमोनियल समथिंग, मेल लिखना है,
ट्वीट
वी
ट्वीट
वुड बी हैप्पी
ट्वीट
टू
कर देते
एंडोर्स।
हैं। ट्वीट कर देते हैं। एक आप ये अपनी स्ट्रीम का जो सेक्शन है उसको अलग से क्लिप करके एक सेपरेट वीडियो पे डाल देना।
कर दूंगा,
जिस
कर
हाँ
दूंगा,
Yeah, that will
कर
help
दूंगा,
guys
हाँ
definitely.
हाँ
100% हो
करते यार,
जाएगा वो।
करते साथ में
हाँ
करते, लाइक
हाँ।
रियली अगेन यार, आई नो लाइक काफी लोगों को गाली मिल रहा है, वो मे बी अनडिजर्व, लेकिन द फैक्ट दैट वो
बट
एक एक जन है ना, जो मतलब कचरा जो है निकालना पड़ेगा अपने को कम्युनिटी में, फॉर दैट वी हैव टू टेक
डू
सम
यू
स्ट्रिक्ट
डू यू
एक्शन।
नो हिज नेम और एनीथिंग अंकित
हाँ
भैया?
वही
मतलब
मैं
नहीं यार,
पूछने
वही
वाला
है
था।
ना, राहुल वाज माय मॉडरेटर, राहुल त्रिवेदी इज माय मॉडरेटर, आई नो हिम वेरी वेल, वो नहीं है बंदा, वो नहीं किया कुछ, दैट आई कैन अश्योर यू, लेकिन वो जो भी बंदा है बंदी है, दे चेंज देयर नेम टू राहुल एंड दे केम विदाउट कैमरा, तो इट कुड बी एनीवन, इट कैन बी अ फेक अकाउंट, राइट, मतलब द पर्सन नेम्ड देमसेल्व्स राहुल, अब कौन है आई डोंट नो, इट्स ऑलमोस्ट इम्पॉसिबल टू फिगर आउट कि कौन बंदा है।
अनोनिमिटी का आप अगर ये देखो, इंटरनेट पे अनोनिमिटी ना बहुत अच्छा टूल होता है। बहुत सारे लोग हैं ना ऑप्रेस्ड कम्युनिटीज से होते हैं, जिन जो नहीं बात कर सकते हैं, उनके लिए अनोनिमिटी एक टूल है। उसको ना
राइट,
वेपन मत बनाओ। मैं यही बोलना चाहता हूँ कि बहुत इजी होता है कि एक जेनेरिक सा नाम रख लो और इंटरनेट पे कीबोर्ड पे बैठ के किसी को गालियां देना और किसी के मतलब चीज को खराब कर देना, वो बहुत इजी होता है। अंकित जो कर रहा है वो करके दिखाओ पहले।
हाँ भाई, मतलब आई मीन मैं तो बहुत ही शॉक्ड हूँ, मतलब ऐसा कोई अंकित के साथ कर रहा है, मतलब किसी के साथ
यार
भी
मैं
कर
तो
रहा है।
गाली भी नहीं देता किसी को। मैं तो, लोग पूछते गाली दो, मैं तो देता भी नहीं गाली। पता नहीं क्या ही तो हो गया, पता नहीं, कोई नहीं, मतलब एनीवे खुन्नस है, निकालो खुन्नस, हम भी निकालेंगे।
खुन्नस
नहीं
नहीं
भाई,
है
हम
भैया, दिस
निकालेंगे।
इज जस्ट, दीज आर सैडिस्टिक पीपल, दे आर पीपल हु आर सिक, दे नीड सम काइंड ऑफ हेल्प, एंड फर्स्ट मतलब इफ ही इज मेंटली स्टेबल देन अगर मेरे को मिल गया मैं तो मुक्का मार के आऊंगा उसको, सही बता रहा हूँ।
अरे वो उतना गट से नहीं है बाबा, दे वोंट कम, मतलब वो नहीं
वो
आने
वही
वाले।
तो बात है ना बाबा,
हिम्मत है तो आओ
ये
भाई,
लोग सामने
हिम्मत है तो
आएंगे
आओ।
ना, ये लोग सामने आएंगे ना, तो ना, अरे ये वो लोग हैं जो माँ बाप से भीख मांग के 75 रुपए का रिचार्ज कराते हैं, फोन पे पबजी और पॉन देखते हैं और इंस्टाग्राम पे रील बनाते हैं, मैं झुकेगा नहीं साला, ये वो लोग हैं। ठीक है,
सही बोला।
तो इनकी बात का क्या मतलब, बट अंकित यार अब मैं क्या बोलूं, मतलब ऑब्वियसली इट वुड बी फीलिंग लाइक सो बैड फॉर
नहीं
यू,
नहीं, कोई नहीं, मतलब
बट
एट दिस
हमसे
पॉइंट इन
धो
टाइम
हो
आई वुड
सके
से
काम
जस्ट
करेंगे।
करेंगे, मतलब एक है अपना ऑलमाइटी ब्लूज क्रिकेट तो है, तो पीपल वाचिंग, आई विल स्टिल कंटिन्यू क्रिएटिंग कंटेंट, कोई कितना भी करे मैं बंद नहीं होने वाला।
बस ये
दैट इज
बस
माय लोगो।
नहीं 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 नहीं,
शांति नहीं,
बस
हम
ये
होने
वही
नहीं देंगे।
मैं
कुछ
सही
भी करो, मैं बंद नहीं
मैं
करने वाला, दुकान
मैं
बंद नहीं
बता
होगी।
रहा हूँ अंकित भैया, देयर इज सो मच दैट आई लर्न फ्रॉम यू एवरी डे एंड एवरी
अरे
स्ट्रीम,
यार सेम यार,
एंड
सेम।
यू आर सो हेल्पफुल एवरी टाइम, यू स्टे विद मी टिल 4 in the morning on all my streams and you don't have to do that। तो और अब ऐसा नहीं है, मतलब चाहे ऑलमाइटी ब्लूज क्रिकेट से करो आप, चाहे एबीएफसी को आप फिर से बनाओ, अपने जाएंगे उस लेवल पे वापस, उससे ऊपर ही जाएंगे।
उससे
तो हम
ऊपर
तो हैं,
जाएंगे, उस लेवल पे क्या।
मतलब 1% भी आप अपने शोल्डर्स ड्रॉप मत करना, मैं ये कह रहा हूँ।
एब्सोल्युटली एब्सोल्युटली
और
नहीं,
अंकित,
लाइक ऐसे 99% जनता है, वो ये 1% अपने को क्लियर करना है, अब वो कैसे करे, वी विल ऑल प्लान आउट एंड विल फिगर आउट।
But we have to take some actions and we have
हाँ
to
हाँ,
be vocal about
वी
it
नीड टू, वी नीड टू,
and we cannot let this slide easily भाई।
वी
ये
हैव टू वॉइस
बुलिंग
इट
है
एंड
यार, ये बुलिंग है, ये दिस इज बुलिंग एंड बुलीज डोंट डिजर्व एनीथिंग।
अंकित मतलब द गट्स जो तूने दिखाया इधर आने के लिए भी, आफ्टर ऑल,
वो
मतलब आई
अरे
डोंट नो
अभी
हम
वापस
लोग
जा रहा
कैसे
हूँ, अभी
फील कर रहे हो,
मॉक के
हम लोग
चैनल में भी
कैसे
जा रहा
फील
हूँ।
कर रहे होते भाई अगर ऐसा कुछ हमारे साथ होता। मेरे को तो
Maybe it is
पता
not
नहीं
fancy minus.
मैं क्या कर रहा होता, अभी तू इतना काम है, इट्स जस्ट टेस्टिमनी भाई कि तू जैसा इंसान है, एंड वी विल मेक श्योर कि हम whatever way we can we will help you brother,
नहीं
that
एकदम यार,
is
लाइफ में
नो
बहुत चीज
डाउट एट
देखे,
ऑल।
दिस इज नथिंग टू बी ऑनेस्ट, बट हाँ नहीं होना चाहिए, किसी को भी नहीं होना चाहिए, इट इज वर्स्ट थिंग दैट कुड हैपन इन दिस फील्ड, लेकिन हाँ we'll get along definitely, thanks a lot यार guys, always your support is there,
अरे नो वरीज
just carry
यार,
on।
हमने कुछ मेजर नहीं किया है यार अंकित, बट मतलब जो भी है बताओ यार, अगर नया चैनल बनाना हो शुरू से पहला सब्सक्राइबर मैं रहूंगा, मैं गारंटी दे रहा हूँ।
अरे नहीं, 100% पता ही, वो तो विदाउट थिंग नहीं करे तो मैं आके मारूंगा। नहीं वो तो होने वाला है, लेकिन करेंगे यार डेफिनेटली, अभी मो के चैनल में भी जाके वही बात करने, दिस मैसेज हैज टू कम अक्रॉस वेरी स्ट्रांगली, तो वो सम चीज
हाँ
यू नो
मतलब
वी
यार
एज कंटेंट
कंटेंट
क्रिएटर्स।
क्रिएटर्स हैं हम भी, हम बहुत मेहनत करते हैं यार, मतलब एंड अंकित खास करके, it's really shocking that you do this to a guy like Ankit।
मतलब मैं वो सोच रहा हूँ कि अभी इतना मेहनत करना बंद कर दूं क्या। वो आ रहा है मेरे मन में, लेकिन नहीं करने वाले हो,
नहीं भाई,
डेफिनेटली
नहीं ऐसा
डबल।
ऐसा मत सोच, ऐसा मत
अरे
सोच भाई, ऐसा मत सोच बिल्कुल भी। हम लोग सब यही बात करते हैं, मैं और रितु ये बात कर रहे थे कि भाई अंकित कितना काम करता है, मतलब ही वर्क्स
अरे
हार्डर देन
पागलपन की यार, अपने तो
एंगोलो
स्पोर्ट्स के लिए
कांटे से ज्यादा काम
आई
करता है
कैन लिव
तू
ऑन
भाई।
फूड।
हाँ, एंगोलो
बिल्कुल
कांटे
100% भाई, नो डाउट अबाउट इट।
कंटेंट
एंगोलो
क्रिएटर्स का एंगोलो कांटे है वो।
कांटे है तू,
अरे
मतलब
डर्क आउट, a
डर्क
mixture of
आउट है,
डर्क आउट एंड एंगोलो
पाजी
वो ले
सो
लूंगा,
डर्क
चलो
आउट और
डर्क
एंगोलो कांटे सब है
एलिमेंट भी
तू।
आ गया। अरे थैंक्स
I mean,
लेकिन
Ankit, I hope you can
नहीं,
see
आई नो
all the
लाइक
support
सपोर्ट है।
that's pouring in for you. You know, obviously, you know, Menace and the Monk, हमारा जो छोटा सा ग्रुप है उसमें हम लोग ये जरूर एड्रेस करेंगे, but come back stronger यार, obviously, you know, we are with you always, तो
जो एक
कोई
साल में
दिक्कत
किया
ही
ना,
नहीं
अब
है।
एक हफ्ते में करके
हाँ
दिखाएंगे, that's
ये
what we have
बिल्कुल
to do।
परफेक्ट है, यू विल नेवर वॉक अलोन। हाँ ये यहाँ पर एकदम परफेक्ट, पहली बार बोलूंगा मैं, यू विल नेवर वॉक अलोन।
देखो अभी वो टेंजेंट करने वाली बात नहीं है बाबा।
अरे बाबा,
अभी
बाबा को
5 भी
बोलना
नहीं
पड़ेगा
बजे
बाबा,
बाबा,
लेकिन
ये तो रात को 11 आफ्टर 8 PM वाली बात है। With some liquid courage।
बाबा
चलो
वाली
गाइस,
लाइक
चलो
मेरा
गाइस,
ट्रॉफी गया,
आई
यू
विल
नो
मेक अ
वो एम
मूव,
आई का ट्रॉफी
गेम
आने
शुरू
वाला
होने
था
वाला
बाबा
है।
हाँ हाँ
चल
नहीं
कोई
guys,
नहीं
we will close this।
हाँ।
ये स्ट्रीम का ये पार्ट मैं काट के अलग से अपलोड कर दूंगा, आज या कल में डेफिनेटली हो जाएगा, बट अंकित, just to close things off यार, really sorry whatever happened with you।
अरे
बट डोंट वरी, मैं कम से कम मेनेस एंड द मॉन्क के जितने मतलब हमारा जो छोटा सा ग्रुप है, हम सब तो आपके साथ हैं ही, मैं और मानस तो हैं ही, उसमें क्या है।
छोटा छोटा बोलते रहते हो,
हम
क्या है,
छोटा सा ग्रुप बोल रहा हूँ।
क्या है, नहीं कोई छोटा बड़ा नहीं है।
और एक मतलब एक चीज बोलने, कभी ना कभी जिसने ये हरकत की है वो कभी ना कभी तो कोई ना कोई वीडियो तो देखेगा ही, कभी ना कभी तो
देख लिया होगा
देखता
कहीं
होगा,
तो।
मैं तो बोलता हूँ।
हाँ वही। सो आपने जो अकॉम्प्लिश किया, कंग्रेचुलेशंस आपको भी, बट आपको इससे क्या मिला मेरे को पता नहीं, बट
लेकिन अंकित को इससे फायदा होगा।
फायदा की बात नहीं है, वी ऑल
एक
विल
लर्निंग मिल गई यार, प्रॉपर लर्निंग
लर्निंग
मिल
मिली,
गई।
वी विल ग्रो
नहीं, फायदा
स्ट्रॉन्गर।
होगा,
I just
फायदा
want to
होगा
say.
इन टर्म्स ऑफ, फायदा होगा इन टर्म्स ऑफ आपने सोचा होगा कि शायद उसके आप उसका चैनल को बंद करवा के उसका नुकसान कराओगे, उसका चैनल अब इससे बहुत बड़ा होगा और आप देखोगे।
लेट्स सी डेफिनेटली। चलो यार,
और आप गांड मराइए जाके कहीं अपनी।
You guys,
Cheers
bye-bye.
guys, see you.
बाय।